Why are the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? In today's world, inequality seems more visible than ever before. We constantly hear about billionaires expanding their fortunes while many people struggle to make ends meet. How did this disparity come to be, and why does it seem to be growing? To understand this, we need to ask the crucial questions: who is getting richer? What are the key factors contributing to inequality? When did this trend start accelerating? Where is this happening most? And most importantly, why? Who are the rich and the poor? The rich are typically defined as individuals or households possessing significant wealth and assets. In modern times, these individuals include CEOs of multinational corporations, tech moguls like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg, and members of historically wealthy families. They often have access to diversified investments, real estate, stocks, and businesses that generate passive income and further build wealth. The poor, on the other end of the spectrum, the poor are those who lack sufficient financial resources. This group includes working-class families, individuals in low-paying jobs, and marginalized populations struggling to meet basic needs. Often, they are the most vulnerable to economic downturns, inflation, and unemployment. The divide between the rich and poor has widened significantly over the past few decades. In many countries, the wealthiest 1% control more resources than the bottom 90% combined. This is not just a statistic, it translates to real-world impacts: luxurious lifestyles for some, while others are left fighting for survival. One clear example is how the top earners have seen their incomes skyrocket, primarily due to their investments in financial markets, technology, and real estate. On the other hand, middle and lower-income workers have not experienced the same growth, often stuck in jobs that do not offer upward mobility or wage increases that match inflation. When did this trend begin? Historical context: the trend of wealth inequality can be traced back centuries, but in recent history, the 1980s stand out as a pivotal moment. This was when many Western countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom, began implementing policies such as tax cuts for the wealthy, deregulation of industries, and the decline of labor unions. These policies were intended to stimulate economic growth but instead exacerbated the gap between the wealthy and the working class. The role of globalization: in the 1990s and 2000s, globalization played a significant role in accelerating inequality. While international trade created vast opportunities for multinational corporations, it also led to job losses in manufacturing sectors in Western countries, pushing many middle-class workers into lower-paying service jobs. The impact of technology: in the 21st century, the rise of technology companies has further fueled inequality. Tech giants have amassed tremendous wealth, with founders like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk seeing exponential increases in their fortunes. Meanwhile, the automation and digital revolution have reduced job security and wages for millions of workers worldwide. So, where is this happening? Global phenomenon. The growing wealth gap is a global issue, but it manifests differently depending on the region. In developed nations like the US, Europe, and parts of Asia, the ultra-wealthy accumulate wealth through stock markets, real estate, and technological innovation. However, inequality is also stark in developing nations, where a small elite often controls vast resources while the majority of the population lives in poverty. Case study: the United States and the US, the wealthiest 10% own nearly 70% of the country's wealth. Urban centers like New York and San Francisco are home to multimillionaires, while inner-city and rural areas face chronic poverty. This is also reflected in education, health care, and housing disparities, where wealth provides access to high-quality services while the poor struggle with underfunded systems. Case study: developing nations in countries like India, Brazil, and South Africa, the inequality is even more pronounced. Here, a small group of wealthy industrialists and politicians control much of the nation's wealth, while the majority of citizens face economic hardship. Rapid urbanization and corruption further compound the problem. Why is this happening? Economic policies. One major driver of inequality is economic policy. Over the past few decades, tax policies in many countries have favored the rich. Tax cuts on capital gains, estate taxes, and corporate taxes have benefited the wealthy, while the middle and lower classes bear the brunt of consumption taxes and stagnant wages. For example, a millionaire may pay a lower effective tax rate on their investment income than a middle-class worker pays on their salary. This allows the rich to accumulate wealth faster, while the poor struggle to get by. Wage stagnation. Another key factor is wage stagnation. While the cost of living has increased, wages for most workers have not kept pace. In industries such as retail, manufacturing, and food services, workers often face low wages and limited benefits. This has created a system where the poor remain trapped in cycles of poverty, while the rich continue to grow their wealth through investments and higher-paying jobs. Education and skill gaps. Access to education is another important factor in understanding inequality. Wealthy families can afford to send their children to top-tier schools, giving them a head start in life. These educational advantages often lead to higher-paying jobs and better opportunities. In contrast, poorer families struggle with underfunded public schools, making it harder for their children to break the cycle of poverty. Technology and automation. The rapid advancement of technology has also played a role in increasing the wealth gap. Automation and artificial intelligence are replacing jobs in manufacturing, retail, and even some white-collar industries. The benefits of these advancements are primarily reaped by the owners of technology companies, leaving many workers jobless or forced into low-wage, unstable employment. Financial markets. The stock market is another area where the rich benefit disproportionately. Wealthy individuals and corporations have the means to invest in stocks, bonds, and other financial instruments that generate significant returns. Meanwhile, lower-income individuals often lack the disposable income to invest, missing out on these wealth-building opportunities. Political influence and lobbying. Wealthy individuals and corporations wield significant political power through lobbying and campaign contributions. This allows them to influence policies in their favor, such as deregulation and tax cuts, which further entrench inequality. Meanwhile, the poor have little political voice and often see their needs sidelined in the policy-making process. The consequences of inequality, social unrest, and political polarization. As the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, societies experience increasing levels of frustration and disillusionment. This growing divide can lead to social unrest, as seen in protests, movements like Occupy Wall Street, and political polarization. Inequality fosters a sense of injustice where the poor feel that the system is rigged against them, fueling populist movements and extreme political ideologies. Health and well-being. Wealth inequality also has profound effects on health and well-being. The poor are more likely to suffer from health issues due to lack of access to quality health care, unhealthy living conditions, and the stresses of financial insecurity. In contrast, the rich enjoy better health care, nutrition, and overall quality of life. Economic instability. A society with extreme inequality is also more prone to economic instability. When the wealthiest individuals hoard resources, it limits the purchasing power of the majority, which in turn slows down economic growth. Moreover, financial crises often disproportionately affect the poor, as seen in the 2008 global financial crisis, where millions lost their homes and jobs, while the wealthiest recovered more quickly. Solutions. How can we address inequality? Progressive taxation. One solution to reducing inequality is progressive taxation, where the wealthy are taxed at higher rates. This could include increasing taxes on capital gains, wealth, and large inheritances, while reducing the tax burden on lower-income individuals. Progressive taxation can fund social programs such as education, health care, and housing, which benefit the poor and middle class. Universal Basic Income (UBI). Another potential solution is implementing a universal basic income (UBI), where all citizens receive a fixed amount of money from the government, regardless of their income. This would ensure that even the poorest members of society have a safety net, reducing poverty and inequality. Strengthening labor rights. Ensuring that workers have strong labor rights, including the right to unionize and negotiate fair wages, is another way to combat inequality. By empowering workers, society can ensure that they receive a fair share of the profits generated by their labor, reducing the income gap. Education reform. Improving access to quality education for all is critical to leveling the playing field. This includes investing in public schools, making higher education more affordable, and providing vocational training for in-demand skills. Education is one of the most powerful tools for breaking the cycle of poverty and promoting upward mobility. Conclusion: the gap between the rich and poor keeps growing because of factors like unfair tax systems, technology taking over jobs, and policies that favor the wealthy. The rich have more opportunities to invest and make money, while the poor struggle with low wages and limited resources. To fix this, we need fairer tax policies, better access to education, and job training for everyone. If we don't act now, the growing inequality could lead to bigger problems in society. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss new interesting videos.